Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrea Mantovani. I'm working for Moleskine since 2013, and a couple of years in Italy, in the HQ first, and then I've been relocated to Shanghai since the end of 2014. The reason why I've been sent to China was because China online business was not performing as the management was expecting, and we believe the brand was not properly positioned, let's say like that, properly positioned online at that time. Basically, I found out a situation which was exactly what had been described, and I have been spending, I think, 3 to 4 months without almost doing nothing, even if seems funny, just looking at numbers and doing an assessment with the team in order to, as a sort of internal consultancies, to understand what was going on and what was the numbers. So today I'm going to talk about WeChat and CRM, and I'm not going to pretend to tell how CRM should work in China and outside. I'm just going to share with you my experience and what I have done, and I believe it may be helpful for you. I'm going to start a little bit backward, because I believe in order to get to the point to talk about what I'm saying in a few minutes, I think you need to understand the background and where I started from, because some of the decisions I've taken are very strongly related to the situation I find out. So the assessment that I've done with the team at the very beginning was mainly on 3 areas: technology, channels, and people. I'm not going to go through the whole assessment today, but I want to focus on people today. And again, without doing the full chronology of all the personas and analysis done, I'm going to focus again on one niche element, which is how much Chinese consumers are addicted to mobile. And that was something that would surprise me, because I was studying about China, but since you move there, you don't really understand how much it is for real. So even I was working on a global project for USA and EMEA before, and the numbers I've seen in China was stunning, unbelievable. So it was really exciting to start looking in this environment where mobile was really outstanding. So I focus on this mobile aspect because this is where everything is going to start. When I went back, I personally present to the board, to my boss in Italy, the plan. The plan was called a kind of aggressive, because I was about to stress dramatically the mobile experience in China. And I took a couple of decisions a bit out of the user decision, which was, for example, not having a website in China at all for branding. I placed all the communication on WeChat. And it was pretty funny, I would say, because Moleskine.com is a well-known website, and in terms of traffic, it's a kind of superpower. But considering we were in a situation where the things were not performing well, I had the ability of starting from scratch, and I look at the target audience I had to talk with. So why building up a website, whatever, if it's responsive and so on, but why start putting effort into a desktop site when everything is on mobile already? And in my website, I need to build up my SEO from scratch. So why don't I use a platform which is already existing? It's already in the pocket of 7 million users, and I develop my brand there. And from product communication perspective, I focus on Tmall. Again, another decision was not to place an e-commerce, standalone e-commerce, as I used to say. Again, for a brand which is young in the country, not very well positioned in China, does it really make sense to put effort in order to drive traffic when there is already another platform that has plenty of traffic? So, and of course, even here, we actually stress Tmall Mobile in particular, and when we sit down with the team and to develop pages and campaigns and so on, we sit down, we define, we have been defining mobile pages, and then we adapt desktop. On Tmall at that time, actually Alibaba Group in general, and also now, they're pushing, like there is no tomorrow to do activities on mobile. They're pushing all brands. And at that time, probably they didn't find so many brands, or probably they found other brands to do activities on mobile, but they were happy to support us. And I have to say, it has been a very good, very important job between Moleskine and the partner that they choose that are supporting me still now on the agencies that are working with me to create a strong relationship with the Tmall team. And this is probably one of the reasons because of this success. So once you have your brand communication and product communication on mobile, and I like to say on the palm of your hand, why do you want to let them experience this brand at home or in the office? It's come very easy to package it with the retail experience. So the standard O2O activities from my side were, we discussed it a lot internally, but it was O2O at the very beginning in one direction only. We were driving traffic from online to offline. Of course, we tried to close the circle, but basically we communicated online and tried to create experiences in store, like workshops, or we invited artists or some painters to teach some VIPs how to draw, or sometimes activities even very different, very far away from our products, wine tasting related to food and so on. So the objective was to create something interesting for our customers. Forget about the product and forget about the new bag collection or whatever, but try to create something which makes sense for a customer, which gives extra value, which is cool, interesting, fun, and I believe, and we believe in general, that and this is not only China, this is all over, if you let the customers fall in love with the experience, they will fall in love with the brand and then with the product. So that's what we're trying to do. So in a very, let's say, strong question, in this kind of contest, when we ran these kind of activities systematically for 2 years, we end up after 2 years with stunning results. And very few results in terms of sales, we did plus over 200% in sales, and we are projecting even higher sales in 2017. And the most interesting thing is on the traffic. Comparing to what happened what was the state of the art in 2014, right now, 88% of mobile traffic is generating 83% of our online sales. So it means that driving all those actions to push people to experience Moleskine on mobile, it would generate more traffic, but this traffic is also converting very well. So this is not just it's not a way to show off, but it's a way to say if sometimes brands are scared to jump and skip some steps, and pushing mobile even further, it works. At least for my specific situation, in a particular condition, a brand at the very beginning. Yeah? So I think every brand has to do his own analysis, and any experience is different. So let's get to the point. WeChat. Of course, this guy played an important role, a very important role on the overall 2 years and a half that I have been working on this kind of strategy. And I don't know how many of you has each WeChat installed in the smartphone and use on a daily basis. You want to raise your hand? Okay, quite a lot. How many of you knows that WeChat is not only a messaging app, but it also has in-app services? How many people? Okay, good. How many of you use those services? Okay, few. Okay, so Chinese users use those services quite a lot, I can guarantee you. And the standard way that we use to describe WeChat here in Europe is this one. Easy. I think you have seen that plenty of times. WhatsApp, Facebook, and then some e-commerce and a wallet or something and so on. More and more, I don't know if you have been around and looking at our conferences and marketers talking, you will see something like that. Amplifying those kind of services. It's for business, you get DD for taxis, and blah, blah, blah. And personally, I believe someone of you are taking some pictures, I would wait here. This is what I actually believe. Since, I would say, 2.5, probably 2 years, WeChat is introducing more and more services. Some of them are directly handled by Tencent, some are handled by third parties. And some of them are handled by brands through our WeChat service account. And WeChat becomes a kind of hub for services, where you don't have to type different applications to get what you need, but you got what you need right in the app contextually when you need it. In fact, this is a few months ago, Gartner saying WeChat is bridging China into a post-app era. And I totally agree. It's true, because basically people are not downloading apps anymore, or the trend is decreasing dramatically because we have so many apps on our, I would like to ask you, how many apps do you have on your smartphone? I have quite a lot, and how many do I really use? It's a very small percentage. So this is a trend, this is a worldwide trend, and we see apps downloading worldwide decreasing by 2%. And it seems very little decrease, but if you think about how India is growing, for example, and the number of smartphones that we are putting into the market, how fast internet is developing and is spreading around in countries, these app downloading should actually increase. So if apps are going down, instead, what is going up? What do you believe? What? I didn't get. Okay, no one. Maybe no one talked, that's why I didn't get any. Okay, so that's my view. Virtual assistants. And virtual assistants, seeing close to those logos and those applications maybe seems a little bit funny at the very beginning, but if you follow my thinking, all those players, and there are others, I just took the most interesting one, all those players are actually offering services which are very close to a virtual assistant, a personal assistant. Because you need a taxi, you get someone that pick up the taxi for you. You need to book a train ticket, you get someone picking up a train ticket for you. The first column is doing that, focusing all the services into one single application, going into the direction that we are seeing. People are not downloading apps, so we converge services contextually in a single app. The other guys are actually going a step ahead. They are doing that through the voice, which I'm not the only one saying, but we are already considering the voice the next keyboard, because first of all, I don't know if you see more and more people WeChatting like this or sending vocal messages. That's why, not because it's cool or it's trendy, because we have a CPU of a supercomputer in our pocket, which is able to give us a feedback or a reply in milliseconds. Why do I really have to spend 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds to open an app, click, waiting that is open, text my question, and then bang, in a second I got my reply? It's a waste of time. I'm going ahead, but it's a waste of time, no? In terms of productivity, in terms of everything. So those guys know that better than me. So that's why they're going already ahead. And to be honest, I don't know if those two approaches will still work together. I think so, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. I believe voice will talk with applications, and the application will be less and less, but there will be still a connection. You see, for example, Siri, a little bit more than 6 months ago, opened their APIs to third-party applications. So even Apple, that is a closed system, is opening Siri to third-party applications because he wants Siri to become the WeChat. Okay, they're probably not referring that exactly, but they want Siri to be able to provide services all around the other apps. So going ahead, let me switch to this. I actually should have said something before going into this slide. So what does a virtual assistant mean? From my point of view, it's a personal customer service. Because the virtual assistant, my assistant, I ask to book a train, I ask to do some activities. For it's my personal customer service. And for customer service, as we are used to believe, I have an issue with my product. I have an issue with my note. No, there are no issues with notebooks, but I have an issue with anything of my product, and I call customer service. I got flight cancellation. I call customer service. So it's a sort of service, and this is a personal service. But I see that as the other way around. So it's not customer service, but I see that services for customers. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing. But if you look at the other side, I used to call it a social CRM. Because if I place myself as a brand behind those applications, and I can get all the information that the personal customer service receive. What I do with the customer service, I ask, I have this problem, and if I push it further, I have to book this ticket. I have to do that. I have to do that. I am giving data. I'm feeding those applications with data. So it's a customer service. I want to be the brand behind and see all those information and taking actions according to what your habits are. So that's why I see that, and I like to call it social CRM. Going ahead, I want to go very quickly through some of those applications to see some interesting details. This is WeChat. And those are the services I was talking before. Most of you has already applications, so they knows, but you never use those services. Those are the pre-installed one, and then you can have your own service. Like Moleskine have some of them. For example, you can have some extra information about some products. Very simple. You can have you can send a form, fill a form to get contacted for if you're a company, if you want to do a customization. You have different services in our WeChat Moleskine account, which of course are dedicated to Moleskine followers because they are built by the brand. But let's have a look at the most interesting application. Let's have a look at Messenger, because Mr. Zuckerberg is putting an effort which it's incredible in order to drive user behavior from one-to-many social media, Facebook, classic world, to one-to-one social media, which is Messenger. And he's introducing features exactly like WeChat. Facebook, you got how many times you get the notification every morning? 5 years anniversary with your girlfriend, 5 years anniversary with your friend, share what you have done last year and so on. Why we're being pushed so much to publish personal content? Because people is not publishing content anymore. And if we don't publish content publicly, actually, my wall actually is becoming a media feed more than a personal stuff. And I see more media videos, funny things than my friends. So if WeChat lose actions from followers, the followers, they're not money anymore. They become a cost. So you need to drive those customers through a new behavior to an application which can be more suitable from a business point of view. It removed at the very beginning the little icon to chat in Facebook. It introduced already M as personal assistant, where you can actually play with a bot, BOT. I don't know if you guys know. Do you know what BOT are? Okay, so BOT are. Zuckerberg is doing an amazing job on presenting this as a stunning feature. But I'm sorry, but WeChat is doing that since 3 years. You can send your localization to WeChat, you can get your nearby store. You send within your Moleskine account, you send your geolocalization. Actually, we simplified it, putting just a button. So you click a button, you are sending the localization to Moleskine account, and we send us the nearby retail store. Then you want to click on the one you like, you get immediately a map, because I know where you are, I know where the store is, a map with the fastest road to get there. If you have clicked around the WeChat account of Moleskine, you may have clicked on this collection and that collection. I know also what you like. I can suggest you some products already when you are looking for a store. So those are BOT. And WeChat is doing that since 3 years already. So Messenger is going exactly into that direction. It's not ready yet. The conditions are completely different. China has some conditions which are amazing from one point of view. The culture is different. They are very trendy. They like to try everything and so on. There is a firewall, so internet. There is no competition from outside. And they have an internal simplicity which is ridiculous. So try to strike a deal with a train ticket in Europe. With how many companies do you have to deal? In China, easier, definitely easier. So all this kind of simplicity, of course, accelerated this process. And WeChat has became what it is, also because of those conditions. Very quickly, I'm going to go through, again, Facebook, because I really like this case. Here, we are doing exactly the other way around. A one-to-one messaging app has been slowly, is actually doing it, Facebook is doing an educational activity on trying to change the behavior of people that used to message to do something fun. Okay, so it's exactly the other way around. Moving people from Facebook to Messenger and moving the behavior of people of WhatsApp into something more fun and engagement. And another little example, still the same company, is on Instagram, when we recently have a new feature where you can not only even comment, but you can send your image directly to someone else in a one-to-one communication. And I can reply to you immediately. So he's doing a sort of education on us in order to get to the point where we will be able to use Messenger or maybe WhatsApp, I don't know this, but some of his applications as we are doing with WeChat. So this is just my personal considerations, and this is one of the reasons why I am driving CRM in a certain direction in China, and we will see also later on. Last example, this is amazing. This is Apple, the king of the App Store, is moving the App Store into a one-to-one messaging application. So again, you see there is a trend. We don't know, I don't know exactly where you're gonna end up, at least with Apple. I have no idea. They also have Siri and so on. It would be amazing to know what's their plan for the next 3 years, but this is what I'm seeing. And then I just mentioned Line and KakaoTalk because I'm looking at Asia Pacific level, and those are two very interesting cases. I'm not gonna go through today, but if you guys wanna discuss later, I'm more than happy because I'm studying them. I call it copycat, but it's not copycat of WeChat. It's very well located, localized application. Still, okay, 12 minutes. Back to WeChat. And I'm going to conclude. So we are rising those two main trends. Let's say mobile addiction and which one it is, I forget. Switching from one-to-many to a one-to-one messaging application. So starting from those 2 points to keep very clear in mind. Here, as I am developing conceptually the CRM strategy in China, where I place WeChat in the middle of everything, as we are used to place the consumer. Because from my point of view, WeChat is the consumers. They use it every day. If you look at the chronohistory of a Chinese person, they wake up, they check WeChat. They go to the meeting. Before the meeting, I want to see who this guy is. They check if it's WeChat, and so it's constantly. I need to get to the meeting. I take a cab. I use WeChat. I have to pay my bills. I use WeChat. So WeChat is the customer, and I want to place it also as, let's say, also as an internal presentation, and without trying to do give a very clear picture as customer service, but turning the terms around. Services to customer. And for services, Moleskine can provide some services, and some other brands can provide, I don't know, every industry, every brand can do completely different things. So I will keep doing my brand communication and social engagement because WeChat allow me to do that, and I will keep my products as e-commerce communication and so on. So I will keep all of them, but I will link all of them with a loyalty program. And very, let's say, concretely, how can we do that? We could place a system behind WeChat, which is connected to WeChat because we trust those guys. They are very powerful and they will stand there for another 10 years, but you will never know. So this is a 2 years plan. And still I want to preserve myself, dragging all data on WeChat on my personal database, so I can control and own them, unless they unfollow. If they unfollow Moleskine, I cut the line and I have the story only before. So, and in this way, I can see all the social behavior of my followers. I see all the things that you can see on WeChat that you know. Then I connect this system with the POS system in my retail stores, which in China very well developed, and I do a connection with my order management system in order to connect the two marketplaces that I have at the moment. If for retail it's very easy and the integration is amazing, so you have all data connected, you know, you have social behavior, purchase behavior, you put them all together, you need like a team of 10 people to have fun and develop any kind of marketing campaign. And then on the other side, it's a little bit more complicated because we have two big guys that, first of all, they don't talk each other, and like cat and dog. And on the other side, it's also hard to drag data out and to put them in the circle and so on. However, connecting them with the loyalty program, with the sort of kind of limitations, a lot of compromises, we can find a way to put e-commerce also over there and to get some interesting data. So this is pretty much a structure of what I have in mind, where I think that the kind of little revolution is to place WeChat in the middle, because for all the rest is a very standard, and I have simplified a lot because I'm not a technical guy, so there would be many other connections between, but this is a very simple schema. Last step that I would say, once I have this system set up and considering all the things that we said before and what's happening outside and how other channels are opening, Messenger is opening now APIs to developers, so I expect in 1 or 2 years we'll have probably the same APIs that WeChat has in order to do something similar. We can easily do like this. Why not? I just add an extra one-to-one social media platform as my main focus for providing services to customers. I enlarge my network of retails. If we look at Asia Pacific, we have Hong Kong, we have Korea, so we can extend. We are lucky because we have a same POS system behind all the retail stores in Asia, so that's a great thing. Most of the brands, if they start retail in different situations, they have a mess. This is something very lucky for us. And I added, I can add my standalone e-commerce, which I will develop. Outside of China, you may still have your Amazon USA, Rakuten in Japan, but you still want to develop your own e-commerce. For us in particular, because the brand perception and the brand awareness is way stronger than what it was in China. So it makes sense for us. It's easy to drive traffic. China was not easy, so it's not the time to have a standalone website e-commerce in China yet. But this is pretty much what I envision for the next future. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you can get something out of it. And I'm looking forward to have your comment or what you believe could be changed according to your brand. I'm very interested into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a few minutes, so don't go away yet.
Great.
I'm curious if you've got a lot of valuable experience and lessons from China. I'm wondering how much of that you're sort of taking back to headquarters and saying, hey, here are ideas from China that we could do in Europe or the US or other markets.
China has been seen as a pilot. It's still a startup right now. Very few people, very dynamic, way easier to collaborate between departments than what was. Someone is laughing in the audience because I've been in HQ, so I know how complex is the situation. So definitely easier from that point of view. But of course, as soon as you are growing, HQ wants to have more control, so you need to be able to structure yourself. But for sure, we're looking into that. The reason why I'm putting Messenger over there is not the case. I'm not saying we're going into that direction. It's we'll see. It's definitely a trend, and we cannot. It's like when you, I don't know. Nice example is India and smartphone. India until a few years ago, they didn't have even mobile phone, and then from one day till the other, they jumped all the steps that we have done, and they go to smartphone. So that's pretty much the same thing. If I have the ability, why should I go step by step and moving slowly from an old technology to a new one? When you see already a trend and you can skip all the way around and having an advantage versus your competitors because you're already structured behind a new platform, when some of other players, if they are slow because of many reasons, when they realize what to do, the plan has to be already changed, because this is a 2 years plan, and every 6 months things change in China.
I want to ask you a question on a different topic. You and I were on a panel about a year ago in Shanghai, and there was a big topic of conversation there, which is not about WeChat, but it's something very relevant, I think, to the people in this room, which is kind of a cannibalization effect, where you do a lot of marketing and promotions in China, and then the Chinese come over and they actually do the shopping in Europe. And it's very hard to reconcile that situation internally. And I wonder if you have any sort of lessons you can share there, because that's something a lot of people in this room, or if they're working with the global brands in Europe, are dealing with as well.
Okay. So let's say, first of all, that considering even if Moleskine is expanding since already a couple of years into more and more lifestyle, traveling accessories and so on, so the kind of products are changing, price point is getting higher, selling bags, accessories and so on. So the price points for us is growing, but still the price point is considerably low, according to this kind of mechanism that luxury brands are facing. Of course, Chinese want to travel because they save huge amount of money, not because of buying a Moleskine notebook. It's true that when they are abroad, and there is a trend of most of Chinese people, I think they overtaken USA recently or something like that for traveling all around the world. So they may buy also Moleskine notebook. But then I say, do you really have a positive ROI when you place retail stores in the Fifth Avenue or in Monte Napoleone in Milano? I don't know. I haven't worked in a high-end luxury. But when you place a store over there, maybe there is a ROI, but probably part of these activities are also marketing, because you have to be there. You want to be there. There are some areas in Japan where the rent it's ridiculous, but you want to be there. Omotesando, for example, it's an amazing street where you want to be there, even if maybe your ROI will be positive anyway. I don't know, but so China can be your window worldwide.
Okay. Do we have questions in the audience? We still have about 2 minutes left. Yes, we have one there? Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Karen Lenchner from French daily Le Figaro. I understood that you combined both platforms, WeChat and Tmall, to sell your products in China. Could you be more specific about the way you used each platform? And I also wanted to know if those two platforms allowed you to sell different products than the ones you sell in brick and mortar shops. And last questions, how long have you been in China, and in how many shops do you sell your products? Thank you.
I start from the last. 2 years and a half. We have 22 or 3, I think. They're growing every month. 2 or 3, 22 stores, I think, in China. Mainly in Beijing, Shanghai, first-tier cities. And then, yes, monobrand. Wholesale is still very small in China. We go direct. And so the first question was about selling WeChat and Tmall. So first of all, we have to be very, very careful on doing activities on those two platforms together. I think my agency is here, and we had a little, we call it small crisis last year when we did a little mistake. We posted something on WeChat, which has in a certain way a relationship with Tmall. They drove crazy. And we're developing a relationship, a trust relationship with them since a long time, so you really have to be careful. So you don't have to necessarily sell on WeChat. For sure, not through Tmall. At the very beginning, we were connecting JD, which is talking the same language, still 10 cents. So it makes sense to drive sales to JD, but then conversion rate was not very good, and there was no reason to place a link anyway to force something that was not happening. So we removed any kind of link from WeChat, at least for now. Then again, some of you, I'm sure you know already because if you've been working with China, but China is testing every day. There is nothing secure and then you go and you rock. No, you try, and part of my small part of my marketing spending is on, I shouldn't say it. I hope anyone from Honest can say listen, but it's throwing away money. Like, try to see, testing out, and maybe some of the activities out of it will come up with something very interesting, then have a positive ROI, and then you put extra budget, and it becomes one of your pillars. You have your pillars, you have secondary pillars, and you have small throwaway money. I think it's a kind of startup approach. Any kind of startup does like that. So it's like 70, 25, 5 in terms of. That's not what I'm doing with Moleskine. I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just saying this is my personal point of view. I don't know. I hope I replied to. There was something else? No?
Okay. We're out of time, so let's move on. Andrea, thank you very much. Grazie.
Thank you.